What's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the garage. Welcome, one and all. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for taking the time. Perhaps you are far distant in the future. Sometimes I like to sit and imagine that one day we won't really realize just how much this data might be passed on, and there might be a time in an era where perhaps our species is going throughout space, and we listen back to the time that we sat on Earth and we hypothesized about such possible ideas, which was what we will be doing tonight. And I want to first and foremost say thank you to my guest tonight, who is the one and only AkashiCris, as well as all of you who have jumped in here tonight. So we have Cat 1137. Was 3 hours later. Beats late, I guess. Thanks. And she says, love AkashiCris. We also have Nightmare. We have Cat once again. And guess what? AkashiCris. She's also in the chat, you guys, so better watch out. Ufologist is also here. Stuart. And Fairy Finder, thank you for being here tonight. Who else do we have moving on down? We got identified S4 in the house. Thank you so very much, brother Anthony, for being in the house tonight with us. As well as, who else we got moving on down? Oh, Ghost Dragon ZW. Thank you for always doing all that you do. Tammy Finnegan said, BigWily, things are already looking sus. I do have a drink for tonight. It was a Friday, and it felt like a Monday. I know I said that last Friday too, but that's how it felt this time, guys. I'm telling you. Peppa H in the house. Cheers to you, brother. Thank you for being here. Kathy Splash. Oh, thank you for being here so much. Played this song at my funeral. Hey, that would be my honor. But I don't want to attend your funeral because you are too great and magnificent. We don't want to see you pass on like that. Gary Voorhees Jr. in the house says, sup all. What's up, brother? How's your night going? How's your weekend going to be? I hope it's going to be well. Nightmare is also joining us. Thank you so very much. Diesel Girl 1031. Thank you for being here. Arlene Atkinzel. Thank you so much. Wes H. Thank you. I think I've caught up to everybody at the bottom there. If I have not, I apologize, and let us move on. Really quick, a couple of quick things to get out of the way. This weekend, I will not be on the after-hour show for Spaced Out Radio, but don't worry, I'll be back next week. And next Friday, my guest here in the garage with Old Blue, traveling the cosmos and beyond to have these great conversations, will be the one and only Priscilla, the Quantum Witch. And I am excited to have her on and hang out and chat about all that she's doing on her channel. If you guys haven't checked her out, you should check her out. Tune in for that episode. I think it's going to be a great time. Also, keep an eye out for what the boys have going on. I didn't see anything posted. I think there was something up. It might have got removed. I'm not quite sure. But they always have their topless topic Tuesday. Two topless topics on Tuesday. There's a lot. There's tequila. There's wine. I don't know. There's a lot happening over there. But join them on a Tuesday. There will be 2 topics. I know that much. They also have tacos, but they're not as topless anymore. I don't know what's up with that. And then obviously you can catch them on Thirsty Thursdays as always. Once again, that's Joe and Ben. Guys, I'd like to also encourage you to hit the like button, ring the bell. If you have not, if this is your first time, please feel free to ring that bell for us. If you would also consider sharing with a friend, we would be incredibly grateful, as that is how we continue to grow. All right. I think that got the housekeeping out of the way. Oh, as far as super chats, we also appreciate those very much, but we did add an option where you can submit those super chats into direct forms such as PayPal, Venmo, and other things of that nature. By the way, speaking of that, I have to update my Venmo. I want to give a shout out. I've got to find this now, guys. Someone gave me a super chat, or excuse me, a donation on Venmo. PayPal. Maybe it was Venmo. And I really greatly appreciate that. I want to get their name pulled up. But I did notice I have to update one thing because another form that I have on it, I think it's my PayPal. One of the two. Somebody's been donating, but they've been sending it to the wrong person. Like I had the wrong link in there. So we've been donating to a very nice Asian man who is also named William T. Thank you so very much, William T. I hope you've enjoyed these donations, as somebody's probably like, oh, enjoy the show or whatever. Thank you so very much for that. That is my fault, guys. I will get that corrected, I promise. And if I can find it here, I will give the shout out. Oh, and some of you might be noticing, what's up with Big Billy Willie tonight? BBW, right? Well, let us talk about Lynn Wallington for just a moment. And if you have not checked out her channel, her newest channel, she's got all kinds of new stuff going on, which is Rebellious Ufologist. Is that right? Am I getting that wrong? I feel like I'm getting that wrong. Is it Rebellious Ufologist? Something like that. I might be getting that wrong, guys, but I'll make sure to find a link to that and post it later here in the notes. You guys can check her out. And she did call me earlier Big Billy Willie. And so now it is now BBW. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much for that. We have you to blame. I cannot find who gave me that amazing chat earlier on Venmo, but thank you so very much, guys. I will make sure I get better at that, and we'll get something up like a buy me a coffee. But enough of all that. Enough of the housekeeping. let us get into tonight's topic and let us get into tonight's guest. Who is my guest tonight? Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I have tonight the distinct pleasure of sharing a conversation with one of my personal favorites in our community. She is in my personal opinion, has the best smile in all of ufology. Her mind and quick wit are second to none and truly is a beautiful soul inside and out. I am, of course, referring to the stunning AkashiCris. She is a Puerto Rican who lives in Texas Suburbia, associate producer for Calling All Beings, marketing/IT professional, data nerd, content creator, and perpetual answer seeker activist, obsessed with ancient civilizations and torn between two Tepes in search of Akashi realm. I might have got that wrong. We're going to bring her in a second to see if I got that right. So buckle up as we take Old Blue into the cosmos and beyond once again. As always, stay curious and keep it weird. AkashiCris, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thank you so very much for being here tonight, by the way.
How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. I am doing good. And I apologize for the late start, guys. The little ones. Just getting
it's torn between two Tepes.
Thank you.
And I feel like I have to say it this way because after your intro, I feel like I have to say between two Tepes.
I love it. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. I was looking at it. I was like, I know I said it wrong. As soon as I said it, me reading words out loud, at least when I'm live, it never works.
Down to the song. Remember, torn between two Tepes, feeling like a fool. That's my version of it. It's like lovers put Tepes in there. And that's how it works. Because I'm a nerd.
Aren't we all though? Aren't we all the best?
If we're here, we kind of are. Yeah,
that is true. At least some would quantify it as it being a nerd. I don't think it is. I think I love that anytime anybody has any interest, the term nerd just gets thrown at it. Like whatever your thing is, you could be into anything and they'd be like, oh, I'm a nerd about quartz or rocks or whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Ghost Dragon CW, for that amazing super chat. Said, found one behind the van trying to sneak a ride. Thank goodness I had my evil Fae Basher. Well, thank you very much, brother. Oh, hey, Thin Lizzie Borden is here tonight. She says, hey, Arlene, as she's checking out the chat.
Excuse me. I love Thin Lizzie.
Oh, yeah, she is amazing. She's been doing so much work. She's been staying busy, as she knows. She knows she's been staying busy with all the different shows. Benji might be Rabbit Hole. Thank you for being here tonight. So, yeah, first of all, let's get this out of the way. Thank you so much for coming on the show here at the garage and hanging out with Old Blue and myself. I want to say, before I really want to dive into your background, because there's so much. Everybody has such cool backgrounds. I have one thing. And luckily nobody ever really asks us about it. Like it doesn't draw any attention, but I feel like there's so much going on behind you. I'd love to start with Gizmo. What is
Oh, this he's actually fairly new. My son just gave him to me for my birthday this year. And he's like sound activated.
Oh, look at him.
He's so cool. I know. It's like my background is basically like a collection of things that I've had over the years. And it's like whenever I go, I try to get some kind of talking. Stop it.
I love it.
Okay, that was creepy.
You stop, right? You were like, "Oh, it's enough of this. I'm gonna backhand you."
I'm gonna shut the hell up. No. I don't know what the language is here. We didn't talk about this.
Yeah, you can cuss. Don't Ben and Joe light it up.
Okay, no filters. Shake it off. So I have just a bunch of stuff, and it's like I got a box of Colon Blow because I love back to SNL. It's like Super Colon Blow. You don't know what I'm talking about. You see, because I'm old and you're not old, but that's totally okay. I want to say vintage for me. And he froze. Or there's an awkward pregnant pause. Does anybody hear him? See him? Am I the only one here? I don't know if I lost my stuff. I think Willie is frozen right now. So we're going to go ahead and cover the stuff on the chat. Ghost Dragon says, hey, love the background. Yes. And that is Dr. Travis Taylor behind me because we were going to have TJ Allard on a show and I decided to just add him. That's just color. Oh, and now he's gone. And but also behind me, lots of other things. Let's see. Alien girl mug, UCR mug, alien Buddha, and over here, disco ball. This is like my comedy area, and I've got some South Park dolls. So I'm a big fan of Butters because he's like really jittery, and I can kind of relate to him, especially right now. So and I'm making fun of this, but it's totally cool. So he's gonna come back soon. So let's see who else we have. So Arlene is laughing at colon blow. Yes, because colon blow equals like, what was it, like 30,000 those servings of total. Like you would get that much fiber. And then like Phil Hardman would be like in this big pile of, cereal. And he would never be the same again. So let's see. Catherine Splashington. This is like asking someone out to dinner and then leaving the internet. This is like remember I don't know if anybody saw that movie with Adam Sandler, Jack and Jill, where it's really Adam Sandler dressed up as Jack and Jill. But I really totally felt for when it was Norm Macdonald, and he was her Adam Sandler's blind date fun bucket, and he dumped her, and I cried. And that's how I feel right now. I feel like a Fun Bucket. Where are you, Fun Bucket? And Fun Bucket's Big Willie. Or maybe is BigWily. Because this is what I get for like refacing him today. Because I refaced him today as Parent Trap. And I think he probably just saw that and just said, you know what? I'm going to dump her. And this is all like a big gag. Oh my God, David Gosling's there. Let me see who else is on the chat. My husband is there. Hi, honey. And then Tammy Finnegan. And let's see, what else can we talk about? Oh, I am going to share a little bit, like a little show and tell if you want to see. I don't know if you see that picture of Adam's family up there. I actually drew that. And that picture was drawn back in the 80s when I was in college, because I majored in computer science and minored in art, because that made sense. That somehow helped me balance my head. I didn't want to be like totally just binary code versus color. So I joined it together. And I've never had to just kind of do this. So this is very, very interesting to have to like sit in front of the screen and just started talking. So I'm going to go ahead and look down at the chat and say that Wes H loves it. And very nice. And it's, oh, thank you. It's my drawing. Oh yeah, my drawing from the 80s. Thank you. And Jesse Peak is here. And I do have to say, it was a great event the other day that we had. Oh my God, Big Willie's coming back. Da 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 da.
Don't know what's
Up and
happened.
tap dancing, dude. What happened? Did you get busted? Or were you abducted?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Like everything just shut down. So I apologize. I promise I didn't set you up to just leave you hanging there. You're doing great. You're doing so good. I was like, oh no. So give me just a second, guys. I promise we'll get back up and running. So really quickly though, let's start with this, guys. I did post your links in the chat. So if anybody wants to check that out, those are posted in the chat. And we also have those in the show notes as well. But what I'd love to start with once my computer gets back up and running over here, which is what we've come to talk about tonight, which is the ancient megalithic sites. And there are many of them. We all know, anybody who's listened to you in the past knows what your favorite is. So we're going to hang on with that one for a second because we all know. But if we had to pick another one, do you have maybe one that's a close, even a second?
Puma Punku, 100,000%. Puma Punku
no,
is in Peru.
And that's been, how long have we known about that one?
Well, okay, so that one, I don't even want to date it because from a dating perspective, Tiahuanaco is like right, very, very close by, and they've been able to date that. But on Puma Punku, it's very hard to date, but it seems to be more ancient, but they can't prove it because they can't carbon date the materials. But Puma Punku is the one with the huge H's in Peru.
But what
So
are your
if you wanna
thoughts when it comes to carbon dating? You know what I mean? Like, do you?
Mhm.
I know it's given us an idea, but we've obviously seen. We all know about the Ancient Aliens episode, where
Mhm.
the hammer appeared right from like in the future. So
Mhm.
we know
Yeah.
nation can really affect carbon dating. But what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's an effective tool, or is it?
I think
What do
it
you
can
think?
be effective in some cases just to identify what was there. But to my point, like if I go sell my house, right? And nobody, nobody's seen me before, nobody knows who I am, all of a sudden my house is there, it's just sitting there. Just because somebody moved in and that's the only person you've ever known, that doesn't mean that's when it was created. And sometimes it's like you can't really tell, and you assume just because they find some kind of structures around it, that because somebody moved in, that's when it happened. That's when I get concerned about saying, putting some of these things in a box. So if that makes any sense.
No, it really does, because we definitely strive to do that. I feel like we as a society, or humans in general, love to just know the answers to things, or love to at least think we know the answer to things. I think we're more bothered. It's weird. I'm personally okay with the not knowing. I kind of love the pursuit of the unknown, and the love affair that can be, right?
Mhm.
And there's an obsession anymore with it seems having to know the answer. And I think that's kind of always been a thing, but it seems to be a little bit rampant right now. And I don't know how I feel about it yet. The curiosity is good, but pretending, I guess to define that more, pretending that we have all the answers is a bit presumptuous on our part. I feel.
Oh yeah, and that, I mean, isn't that kind of across the board?
Where
Is that
even with the
You're kind of breaking up. Can you repeat that? I don't know if anybody can hear you. Can anybody hear? Oh, there's Mike. He's moving, and now he's sideways, and now he's back. And I cannot hear you, Big Willie. Big Willie, come back to me. Can anybody hear? If anybody can hear him, and I'm just the one that can't, let me know in the chat. Can somebody tell me? Can't hear him. We can't hear you, Big Willie. Let me go ahead and put that. Can hear you. And I am telling him that on the chat right now. But
Shaking. Look at that.
see.
We're gonna do multiple angles, guys. Gotta come from all sides of this.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Oh
get rid
my
of this.
God! It is Big Willie and Billy Willie.
That's right. This is my non-known
It
guy. Most people don't
happened.
know.
I'm wigging out. I'm talking to two Willies.
Oh no! What just happened? Hang on. Hang on.
How did that happen?
I gotta make sure. Okay. For half a second, it looked like it ended it. The guys, this might be the most rough start I've ever had. Ever. So AkashiCris, I apologize.
I'm cracking up. I was
Doing
like,
so good.
there's a glitch in the matrix. The two Willies don't match. I was starting to freak out. I'm like, okay, maybe it's happening already and it's happening live. Oh crap.
That's right, guys. This is what happens. It's life. Sometimes things happen. I don't know why that happened. Why the universe chose that moment to be like, I'm gonna shut the power off of the house for just a second. Not for long. Just literally like
It's a karmic thing.
Oh man.
It's okay. It's okay.
But we're back.
We are
And
back.
we were discussing, if I remember correctly. Oh
Yes.
man, Mr. Dave Scott, or at least Space That Radio Nos. Thank you for the amazing super chat. He says, "Who is Big Billy Willie? Bring back Big Willie." Well, you gotta talk to Lynn Wallington. Lynn Wallington has brought out the BBW at this point. Big Billy Willie, as she stated. And that's the way it's going. That's the way it is.
You didn't look at Twitter today, did you, Big Willie?
I didn't go on Twitter enough. I got your message. I went on and watched her show. I watched the highlight. And I'll have to, maybe you can pull it up.
See what happened this afternoon?
No, that I'm aware. I seen her.
I'm glad you didn't. So
okay.
Just remember the good times now when you see that later.
I'm so
just
curious.
gonna say.
I'm so curious.
I got a little creative, and
Love
so
it.
did
Let's
other
share it.
people.
Let's share it right now. Is it a picture or a video? You pull it up and we'll put it on the screen
No. Let's
for
see.
ladies and gentlemen to see. But as we were discussing, guys, we're gonna get back into it in a second here. Once we see what AkashiCris here has created in her imagination with her creative artistic skills here, we were talking about carbon dating. Excuse me, and how accurate or not accurate it may be. And I'd love to know in the chat what you guys think of it. When someone says, "Well, we've carbon dated this to whatever," do you guys rely on that a lot? Do you find it to be a bit? Because if you really dig into the actual science of carbon dating, it's not as fleshed out as they make it out to be. It gives us a good idea, and so don't take it as if I'm knocking it too much. I'm just saying I don't think exactly, Stuart. That's one of my favorite points. I mean, that's why sediment's an amazing thing. That gives us a really good, accurate picture. But the actual the carbon dating process can be a little interesting.
Well, it can be a little interesting, but sometimes I feel like a lot of people just focus on the details of it and not. And I don't know what's happening, but I have underwear that can be. Anyway, yeah. So, oh wow. Okay, so I really did have a point. I was like totally ready. I'm like, I'm ready to go on the carbon dating. But I totally forgot my train of thought. Thank you.
That's
Space
okay.
Radio.
You were about to share your amazing artwork that you have, and then we're going to get to the picture of your husband back there in just a minute. Don't worry, we're going to talk about him too, hanging up on the wall. We'll definitely.
That's not my husband.
Well, we can tell people that. No one has to know. It's the internet. They heard it on the internet.
He's only on the chat. My husband, Stuart. You do know that, right?
Stuart. No, I didn't actually know that.
Stuart,
hi, welcome. Stuart's hung out with us so many times. I never knew that.
Okay, so here's
Stuart,
some of my artwork from today where we decided that there was two BigWillys, BigWilly and Billy Willie. So yeah, so I'm trying to think where all started because it got really bad, and then there's baby Big and Billy Willie fighting when they were children, and here we go. This is what started it all. They started asking, I forgot, and so Big Willie's long lost twin Billy Willie. So which one will be on the show tonight? They're identical, and there you are. And I'm glad you did not see this because otherwise I would not be on the screen right now, laughing about it with you, right? With you. We're laughing together.
No, that's funny because you know what's funny about all this? Not that it's funny that the internet acted up and kicked me off and you had to carry the show for us, but the fact that I didn't know you made any of that, and then we ended up with two of me on the screen because that was totally. I had no idea. I
thought you did it on purpose. I thought this was like a prank, prank. No. Wow.
Oh man, that's so good.
Yeah.
Oh man. And so welcome, Sonny. We're doing a reset. Chad Smith says, "Party. Thank you for being here, Mr. Chad Smith."
Okay. I remembered my point.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's jump grab on before it leaves my head.
That's right.
So my point on the carbon dating is like, here's the problem. Regardless of the carbon dating, whether it's 2,000 or 5,000 or 6,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago, some of the stuff when you put it in, when you really kind of put it all together, makes no sense. Regardless, at any of those stages, because some of the technology, some of the things in the precision, I mean, it looks like some of the stuff looks manufactured. It's 1,000 tons. It's all over the world. It's when you put it all together. It's kind of like the videos we talk on the UFO side all the time about, gimbal and TikTok and Go Fast, and how all the other things around it, the context around it's not necessarily all included. And when you add all the context, is so much stronger. I feel the same way about these structures. So that's why I don't get so hung up on carbon dating, because for me, it's still a question of somebody built this. It's built in a very specific way. These people seem to be keen astronomers. Who cares? which year. It's still, at some point after all that, regardless of when that happened, after all that, somebody still believed that Earth was flat. So it's like you have a gap between they knew something so much bigger, and then they lost that knowledge. So I'm gonna shut up
Very
now
true.
because I
No,
talk a
don't. This is what we're
lot.
here to talk about. I was just excited
Mm.
to see Dogface Boy, my brother from down under. He
Hi,
is in
Dogface
Australia.
Boy.
That is right. Well, some of him probably knew him as Simon before he was Simon Wales, but he is now
Simon. Oh yeah,
Dogface
Simon
Boy.
Wells.
Yeah, I thought he disappeared for all his time.
Hi.
He just changed his name.
Yeah, I remember.
That's
That's
right.
nice.
I have to admit too
Mm.
that structures were kind of my gateway, as it were, into ufology. I mean, really, really taking the deep dive into ufology, because I started like most other people with the Ancient Aliens episodes, and I would get a beer and I would hang out at night after everybody went to bed. My wife would go to bed. She's like, I'm not watching this crap. I was like, okay, babe, I love you. I'm gonna stay out here for a little bit. She'd go to bed and I'd like watch an episode. I'm like, oh my god. I was watching the first couple seasons of Ancient Aliens was pretty good, guys. They were pretty good, and that whole first episode was a 2-hour special episode on just structures, essentially. And at the time I was doing a lot of construction work. I was doing industrial pipe fitting, and we were leveling out these massive presses, and we were trying to get them with laser precision, and we were using lasers to try and level them out, and they were kicking our butt. And I was just sitting there thinking about like the fact of all the technology we had now, and the issues we were having moving these things, because they did weigh a lot. But even with the heavy machinery we had, and cranes and whatnot, all the precautions we had to take, and then finding out that this stuff is like a tenth of the weight of some of the stuff these people were moving around. And I just had to sit back and go, there's got to be something. At very least, when I started, I didn't jump straight to like aliens are totally real. I jumped straight to like history. Whatever we've been taught is wrong. That's where I went first with it. I was like, we missed something somewhere, at least the education we got in school. So I definitely have a little bit, for sure, a love affair with ancient structures, because they are truly beautiful and magnificent if people take the time to give them. I know everybody's like, oh, it's the pyramids, or oh, it's this or that, but it's like, no, just dig into it. It's amazing artwork. Oh, we have a new member. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, sir, for joining Space Fart Academy. Thank you very much.
Space Fart Officer.
Joe and Ben are gonna be so proud of you. Oh man. But yeah, so obviously,
well, yeah, I don't necessarily. I want to make sure you follow this one on. For me, is that I don't tie it to aliens. Those structures to me. The structures to me are, there was a civilization, there was a version of us or something here. And this is where kind of the phenomenon goes everywhere. And, a lot of the research I've been doing takes you down different rabbit holes, including, I've been reading the Hugh Newman book. He's a megalithomaniacs. He did a book on giants, and even looking at actual skeletons of giants. So, I mean, I really do believe that there was something here. Whoever was here before us, there was somebody here before us that got it and that knew how to use that power. So when I look at these structures, I think about it as, man, if we could go back in time, see all these things together working, during like solstices and equinoxes, what could they do? And think about remote viewing, astral projection. These people had power of consciousness, pure. It's like they had something on the consciousness side as well. So, what could they achieve? So to me, it's like a deeper rabbit hole, because I'm kind of mixing two rabbit holes together.
Sometimes they
but
go
it's
together.
really cool, so anyway, sorry, it went down.
No, you're fine. I just looking at Ghost Dragons EW. These are two amazing books to have, and growing up in a really religious background.
Yeah, Chariots of the Gods. Yes.
Yeah, and so to have those two kind of mixed together,
Bible.
it's like,
It's
but yeah, so going with before, and I promise we're getting to it. I promise, your favorite subject. But before we get there, let's and this is something you talked about.
I'm sorry. I want to go back to that comment because that was awesome. Because
which one?
Don't think about that comment that you just had up. That was the Bible,
with the Chariots of
the Gods. It's like first 2 books. So that was Ghost Dragon CW. Thank you for sharing that. That's really cool. It's like it's interesting too. I mean, I think it's an interesting perspective. So thank you so much. Cool.
Very true.
Dragon ZW.
I know, it's a great name.
Awesome.
He's always around. He's so much support. Tyler Howell says, how goes it? It goes well, except
Hi,
for when the
Tyler.
power goes out. So thank you for being here tonight. And it might happen again. And then you guys, Akashi's going to carry the show. She's got it.
Dance. I can read the chat.
Listen.
I can show my background.
Old Blue stuttered out for a minute. I had to get out and like push. I was like,
hello.
You gotta steer. I'm gonna go push. Oh man. Did you ever have let's talk about that for a second. I know it's a little off pace, but did you ever have a rough vehicle? Like one that you were embarrassed to show up in? Did you ever have one of those growing up? Yeah.
Actually, it wasn't growing
up. Even now.
It was not now. But you said vehicles, like a really bad car. Okay.
Like a car, van, doesn't matter. Just one you were
yeah. Okay. I actually owned something that came up as when you Googled ugly cars. It was the number one. I swear to God.
Is it a bug?
And I picked the wrong. No.
Oh, people are gonna get hate for that.
I'm so ashamed.
What could it be?
Pontiac Aztec. Do you remember that thing? And in poopy green.
Oh no, not in the green.
Like the green. And I saw it and I fell in love with it. I was like, that is the weirdest, coolest thing I've ever seen. And then when you would Google it, go ahead and Google it. You can come up with an image on it. It's pretty bad. And it was a green Pontiac Aztec. AZ, okay, now this is funny because it's the Aztec. And we're talking about ancient, so
true.
Okay. I know. But yeah, it was a Pontiac Aztec. That's probably the freakiest, ugliest thing I've ever driven.
In green, though. You said green,
but
right?
It was in green. And the cool thing is you could attach, it had an attachment for camping. Not that I ever camped or would ever, but I could if I wanted to. So that was really attractive.
On that sometimes.
I know. I'm like, I could camp if I wanted to. But but it's options, right?
That's
the
true.
Aztec was that Aztec, and my husband totally agrees that the Aztec was a really ugly green. It was like a green pea, type of baby.
See if this works. I don't normally share it this way. I normally have my other screen.
Okay, mira. Let me pull it up.
I think it should.
Mira. That's me in Spanish.
There it goes. Okay, I got it.
Aztec. Hold on. I'm gonna go into Spanish mode. Green.
But this doesn't feel like this can't be the old one you're talking about, is it? This can't be it.
I'll show you, babe. It's ugly.
Let's see.
Hold on.
This doesn't look that ugly.
Oh, maybe you got it right. Yes, that thing. If you put
ahead of its time.
Ahead of its time means.
Look at it.
But see, you could camp. If I wanted to, I could have done that. It had a mattress and everything. It never got used. But look at the sides. Yeah, that's it.
All the plastic.
Yes, I drove that, and then it actually went to to Stuart's son later on because we wanted to just share the joy. Yeah, wasn't it cute? Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's that
bad.
You
asked.
I don't think it was as bad as you said.
Okay, well, whatever. That's not what everybody else said. Everybody made fun of me forever for it.
I had one that
What did you have?
I had a Mazda 626. It was like a 1986 or something like that. I mean, it was 94. Mm-hmm. And what happened was the serpentine belt started to go on it. So it was one of those cars that when you're trying to go, and anybody who's ever had a serpentine belt start to go, it squeals. And when I say squeals, guys, like 10,000 pigs squealing at once, just squeals. And I was going on my first date with my wife. I picked her up, and I was like, how am I going to do this? And so I was trying to think of how, because it would also sometimes squeal when you get down into first gear. And so I as we're pulling into the restaurant, instead of parking like a normal human being, I shut the car off in neutral and let it drift into the spot. She didn't really adjust it too much, but hey, that car was a little embarrassing to start up, and it was.
But look, it all worked out.
Oh yeah.
So
God,
that
10 years
embarrassing
later.
car, she was probably like, "Oh, this is so endearing."
Yeah, I was delivering pizzas back
It's
then. I
so
was a pizza dude.
sad, but it's so
It was,
endearing.
it was so sad. We were so glad to move on from
Well,
that car.
because it made the noise, and she was probably thinking, "Man, he's so embarrassed. It's so cute."
Yeah.
So that car could have changed your life, Big Willy Billy.
It's
Sorry,
true.
you
Yeah,
actually
it's
changed your name here.
Big Billy Willy now. We all
Big Billy
know.
Willy. Sorry.
At least since Lynn gave a shout out. We had to give her at least one shout out for sure at the Big Billy Willy.
Yes.
I just love that it changes it to BBW, and nobody's really mentioned that yet in the chat, but
BBW.
I feel
BBW.
like at least 2 people are gonna get it. But moving on to your favorite location of all time. Why do you think that this one is so unique? Why is this one, not that anyone's more special than the others, but this one's kind of special? And if so, why do you think it's special?
Because it is one of the ones, whether or not the carbon dating, we were talking about that, but they have found evidence that this is 12,000 potentially years old, which aligns perfectly with the theories of a younger Dryas. And these people were catastrophists, and I started reading up. I don't know why that structure just kind of like caught my eye, especially that vulture, the main pillar 43 enclosure D vulture stone is just, it's breathtaking because it's trying to tell a story so badly. And it's like, it could be interpreted in so many ways. So to me, it's like the beginning of the puzzle. And they say that it's the beginning of civilization. Was it there? And then things kind of grew around it because people came to the area because the structure was there. So it's like, well, how much did it play a part in, the civilization that grew around it?
Is this the right picture? I don't know if this is the right one or not.
No,
I'll try to share
I've
it.
got one.
You got
If
pictures?
you want,
Okay.
I got a whole, yes,
Heck
that
yeah.
is
That is the
it.
one?
But I've got the whole,
Okay.
I've got the whole structure,
We'll
but
let
that is
you-
basically it. But let me go ahead and let me queue up the right one.
Hey, by the way, guys, shout out to VPXM. Thank you so much. He or she, I'm not sure, sent an amazing audio clip, which I freaking love, and I would 100% use it anytime. Thank you so much for that. Feel free to send music whenever you would like. I would love to use some of it on here, and I know Ben and Joe, and they'll probably use it too in some of their documentary stuff. All right.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to share the whole screen because the deck is too heavy.
No
and
worries.
It wouldn't load earlier when I was trying to do it.
She's bringing a lot, guys. It couldn't even load it all. It was so much.
Oh, I'm not. This is kind of like just my backup here.
Okay.
Deck that I have whenever I'm gonna start putting together. I call it my my rabbit hole on Göbekli Tepe. Can you see my screen?
We can. We got her on up here.
So one of the reasons why this is so cool. So this is pillar 43 and enclosure D over in Göbekli Tepe, and that's in Turkey. And the enclosure, and I have more pictures that I'll show you here in a minute, but actually, yeah, I'll just stay here. So the enclosure itself is like very spirally, it's like everything is spirals, and there's alignment in each of the enclosures. There seems to be alignment during certain times, like the solstices and the equinoxes, with particular constellations. So my rabbit hole on this one came that I found some information on some papers that were written of a zodiacal interpretation of the vulture stone. Because if you look at it as if the pillar itself, and this is based on the work by a gentleman called Dr. Martin Swedman.
Oh yeah.
And did you read that? I think the paper is called Decoding. He has like prehistory decoded, but he also I read the original paper that he wrote, and I was like completely obsessed because
that was the trigger point for you.
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, he starts to make more sense because hold on, it's called like, what does the fox say? Decoding Göbekli Tepe with archaeoastronomy. What does the fox say? And it's because there's foxes in the different in some of the structures. So so in decode, go ahead.
I was just okay. This might mean, I'm sure it means absolutely nothing, but for the few people out there who remember YouTube early 2010, there was a video out there that was called "What Does the Fox Say?" I don't know if you know
What
this
does
video.
the fuck?
You do know the song? I was just wondering. I was like, wait, was that what they were going for? Because remember, it was all
I
the different
think it
animals,
was.
archetypes.
Yeah, what does the fox say? Right? That was.
I
It was a
remember
weird
that little kid
song.
floats to the end
Mhm.
with a golden ball. He
Yes,
like
yes, I remember that.
Now I'm
I'm pretty
wondering.
sure that he tried to go there. Yeah, I'm pretty
Mm.
sure that that was like a little play on that because the rest of the paper is it's very statistical. So it is, yeah, it took me a while to read it all the way because I'm like, again, I'm super ADD. So it's like, I don't understand why I get this, but somehow I love it.
Really quick,
So,
Arlene, or excuse me,
mhm,
Akashi, before we go any further, I
yeah.
apologize. Do you have a link? I think they're asking for, as far as the site that you just mentioned, I believe they're asking in regards to the site that you were just
Oh
talking about, the
yeah.
article.
Let me go ahead and send
You can drop that
link.
right in the chat if you'd
I'm
like.
gonna
It's up
go
to you.
do that. Yeah.
Thank you, by the way,
There we
Arlene, for
go.
asking. So drop
There
that in
we go.
there.
Yeah, so this is seriously cool because it goes into very much detail and kind of how he you could potentially use um the alignment with the solstices and equinoxes and constellations to read what this is supposed to be. So his interpretation is, in a nutshell, that the whole pillar itself is a date stamp, and he walks through why is a date stamp and how he winds up in around, I think it's about 100 years from the 10,950 BC, which aligns with Younger Dryas. So and trying to get my
I didn't realize how much detail is in that. Like I'm noticing like a
yeah, so check it out. See, yeah, I got more. I'm so excited that you
no
like it because I've got more. Yeah, so hold on. Let me see. Maybe this is a better one. So over here, so you see the little purses, right? So basically what he's saying is that this pillar itself is a particular point in time where the sun, and you start, from the sun, and then you look at the different constellations. So he was evaluating the animals around the sun and their placement in the sky, and when could statistically all of these, comparing it to, like, I think he was using Starlink to look at the constellations and match the patterns to see when, what dates would align with that, with that, with all of these alignments. And that would take you up to here. We'll talk about the purses here in a minute.
really
Go
quick,
ahead.
Akashi.
Yeah.
Are you able to zoom in at all or no? If not, that's
Yeah.
okay. Okay,
Is that better?
that helps a little more.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool. Yeah. Sorry.
perfect.
I usually load them into slides, but I couldn't do it because I
That's
have too many
okay.
graphics. So,
That's okay.
but
That's a
yeah,
lot better. I
so
can actually see a lot more detail
yeah, so you've got
now.
this is supposed to be, hold on. So you got the sun, you got official, I don't know how to pronounce that, but that's it. This one right here with like the little pelican thing. And then here's Sagittarius and Scorpio. I think this is Lupus, Libra. Hold on. Yeah, so he's basically aligning and aligning to the constellations that go with that. And here's where it gets really interesting. There's two areas where this is where I went into my that rabbit hole on this. The purses and these two little symbols. Remember that when I talked to you about Puma Punku, the two little, it's like an I or an H.
Yeah, right there.
You're gonna see this.
Rotated.
These are all over the place. So now in his interpretation, I'm gonna go back to this one on the purses. So the top panel, it actually aligns with the winter solstices and the equinoxes preceding to the event. Let me go get the dates. This is where it gets really weird because let me get the dates.
I know.
And
I was just thinking too, because I know that there's still so much of this they're still uncovering. So it's amazing that we're already getting this much detail with I think something like only 10-ish, maybe 12%, maybe a little more than that.
Maybe it's actually, I think it's less. It was like between 5 and 10, because now they've also covered it because of all the attacks and stuff, and they didn't want it to be harmed, which is a shame because it wasn't meant to have a dome. Because it looks like everything was meant to be looking at the stars. These people were astronomers. They were obsessed with looking at the stars. So that's where this interpretation makes so much sense to me. Now, the top, so here's where it gets seriously cool. The spring equinox of 10,000. Okay, so let me go back to on the pillar itself. When you look at all the alignment of all these different constellations, there's only certain points in time where this could have happened. And the options were 2000 AD, a winter solstice of 2000 AD, 4350 BC, the autumnal equinox, 10,950 BC, which was summer solstice, and then 18,000 BC, it's spring equinox. So statistically, he went, started crunching numbers, going through where could they be, aligned this way at that point in time with a certain level of, error. And he came up with that, which is interesting because you got that 10,950 BC, which would make sense as a summer solstice. And then these guys are supposed to be the spring equinox that goes with that of 10,950 BC had Virgo in alignment. And this actually aligns when you compare it, when the shape, it aligns to Virgo.
That's actually my symbol.
Really?
Yeah,
they I'll get to I'll show you the symbology because he actually kind of showed the stars and how he did this. But then winter solstice is Gemini and would be right here. And then the autumn equinox of that same of 10,951, which would have been the one to go with it, would have been Pisces. So that makes me wonder about the significance of the purses, the handbags, that they're everywhere. Because those handbags, show up in so many different places. Now, his other thing that he said on these guys is that he thought it could be a distant star. Like, I think he was talking about the Cygnus constellation, or he said something he said Altair, which is in Cygnus. So, and I actually have a separate theory. I have Chris hypothesis.
Do you think that the purses represented maybe time or knowledge and how it was growing? Because how they're indifferent in size, how it's smaller to bigger, which doesn't seem accidental, unless the artist just really sucked, right?
These are stone structures, but now what I'm thinking on those purses, when I look at that, if everything, all of these structures that I look at seem to be so aligned with the constellations and with the summer, with the sun on summer solstice, winter solstice, the equinoxes, etc. And if the purses are sitting in the middle of that, and in one of the books, this is where nerd alert, here I got Giants book, and I was reading the Giants book, and it started talking about mana and about power. And I know that some of the structures have been tied with having things I think it was magnesium in some, and it's everything seems to be aligned with constellations and purposely structured to capture the sun in a certain way on those times a year. Was that recharge time? Because it's if you think about it, it's is there a way that our ancients figured out how to use these structures to pull that power during those times and almost use it for an alternative way of, because there's something that's got to be used for lifting 1,000-pound, ton.
One would think.
Monoliths,
for sure.
Baalbek is ridiculous, so it's kind of a trip. And what I like is that it just gives so many possibilities, and you can hypothesize all day long, but there's actual evidence that can be found. And that's not the same that you can say, sometimes on UFOs, it's you're so dependent, but in these cases, it's this stuff could be right there.
Could really be right there. Obi Fed is asking a great question, by the way, which is, why do you think this place was completely buried, in your opinion?
That's really interesting. So these guys were catastrophists. So, I mean, if that pillar is a date stamp, so they were tracking this as a point, it's like something horrible that happened, because the pillars without heads also are a significance of death. So that's, there's been books about them being catastrophists. But why did they bury it? I know some people say preserve it. That was a lot of work. I know that they have found some evidence that maybe that some things just collapse on themselves. I don't buy that.
Yeah.
But again, if I look at what if the connection of this place needs to be with an open sky, you're putting a baffle on them, which is similar than what we just did now. You put a dome on it, so it's like maybe they buried it, and there's multiple levels that are buried. The 5% that we have found is supposed to be the oldest, which I don't quite understand. I'm still trying to figure that out, because if they can go deeper, why wouldn't that be the oldest? So, Tim F. Hi, Tim F.
He says, bong rips and ancient civilization talks equal happiness.
Happiness. Whee!
So, and Mr. Crowley is throwing out a suggestion too. See what you think about this. He's saying seed vaults. So he's asking, or at least suggesting or asking, what do you think about the idea of that?
I'm sorry about
seed vaults. The idea of like putting in like, how like in Antarctica they got that big one out there. I think there's one in Norway as well. Some other places around the world we have like seed vaults. We take like seeds of whatever and we put them in these big vaults. I think he's asking, like, do you think it's possible for that?
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I'm gonna admit that I'm not familiar with that one, so I'm gonna have to, because every rabbit hole I see, I have to go in. So thank you for giving me a new thing to look up. Seed vaults. I'm taking notes.
It's something to definitely look into. Something that I think's interesting too. And now, guys, this is not. I love when we always get in trouble when people are always like, this isn't an actual picture of what. I get it. I know it's not an actual picture, but I just want to see it. This is their depiction of this. And I know that some people talked about, I think, who was talking about this? Someone who was discussing this in detail about the idea that perhaps when they were building it, that they were kind of going down. So like along the way, as they built, that the structures, as they dug down, like most of the time you would dig down and you would build up to the sides. But in this case, what's weird, unless I'm mistaken about this location, it's almost as if it started from the ground and then they built it. Like, excuse me, they started from the ground level and then it would fill and build on top of that, which is, I mean, and I guess I should let you pull up some of your pictures. This doesn't really do justice. This is just an artist.
No, but I love, what I love about that picture, even though it's a representation, is that it shows you the shape and it's so familiar. It's like Stonehenge. I don't even get into the henges yet. That's like a whole new other, you can go down that, that path, but it's just all very similar. Everything's all shaped the same. And these weren't living structures. There's some stuff around it that, they have found some shelter, but not within these. There's really no real remains in there. It wasn't a burial and it wasn't a shelter. I just keep thinking of their alignment with the stars being the reason why they.
Has anybody hypothesized yet for them why they were catastrophists? What even gave them that idea to plan for that? Was it an ancient history they had heard about? Was it something they were foreseeing in the stars? It makes you wonder why they were even that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, but if you think about it, if this was built after younger Dreas, that's probably a big reason to.
Now that would make a lot of sense, actually.
So let me show you, because there's actual
and for a lot of people, share away, please. I love sharing pictures. That's the amazing thing about StreamYard. It really has changed the game.
Show and tell.
Yay! It really has, though. I'm good with, like, I learn better when I see pictures sometimes. So
me too.
It helps seeing them, and it's more engaging. For those that are not watching visually, those that might be listening on the audio format, please join us on YouTube. You can come catch these episodes every time you like. All right. So here we are.
I'm just keeping like a little collection and starting to put it together, because when you see things, again, when I was talking about the UFOs, is you see it as one instance here, one instance there, but when you start to put it together, it's like it starts to become much more overwhelming. So this is just in Turkey, and I think that they were talking about having like maybe 40 tepes total, but this is Göbekli here, and the vulture stone. There's three main pillars that you're always going to hear about first. The 43, the vulture stone, 33, and enclosure D, which is this that one had, let me see, that one also has like the constellations in it, and you see the H here. So it's just it's just really interesting. And then over here, look at pillar 18. I'm going to zoom in. You see the H's here in the belt. So these are the three main pillars that everybody talks about when you're talking about Göbekli Tepe. I mean, there's a lot more stuff, but those are just very, very significant. And there's, the shape before they went ahead and covered it up. But here's what I was going to show you. So here's Karahan Tepe, the new Tepe in town. And it also has some really interesting features to it. You see that little face right there? In winter solstice of this year, my Hugh Newman was out there. And you see this little hole right here?
Yes.
The sun peeked in through that at that moment, and it's shown a light on this face on the winter solstice of December 2021. So this last December, it was a breathtaking. I mean, I saw the video because he posted it on Megalithomaniacs, and I was like, oh my God. He's like, yep, that hole was meant to shine a light on this, and they had exposed this pool. Go ahead.
Now, when you're saying a face, and keep yours up, I'm just going to share something. I just want so people can zoomed in view, just see if this works. Is this so you're saying it illuminated this face right here?
I can't see what you're doing.
Oh, no worries.
I'm sorry. This face right here. I don't know if you can see it. You see this little face right here on Karahan Tepe?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yep. I see what you're showing now. Yep.
And there's a hole that you can see on the side. There's some holes here. And during the point on the winter solstice 2021, the sun, and he caught it on video, the sun, and I can capture it later and give it to you, give you the links. Awesome. The sun went through and it's shown on that. And he was like, I was able to interview him. And I got to talk to him about it. I was like, how was that? And he just said it was just magical. Like, I'm so fangirling right now.
Didn't
Somebody
he say
was there.
That they were probably like the first people to observe that in possibly like 10,000 years, maybe, who knows for sure?
It was a trip. And then, so the other part I wanted to show you was Derinkuyu, because this is the caverns. So this is also in Turkey. So here's, we're in this part of Turkey, and Derinkuyu is out there, and all these caverns exist where, from a catastrophist perspective, if these people were keen astronomers, right, and they were so in tune with the stars that they were able to track it, maybe they could see things. The other thing that we don't usually think about, especially archaeology, is only going to go so far and try to explain. We don't layer on top some of the things that we have learned, like, the power of consciousness. So that's what, just to wrap up, because I don't want to go Göbekli Tepe out all freaking evening, but
it's 11:11.
I want to wrap up this gift with a bow. But these little H's right here is like, he was, Martin Sutton was saying he was thinking this was out, like something within Cygnus, like far away stars, right? But when I looked at it, and I remember it was like 3:30 in the morning. I don't know why I was up, and I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, I used to spec fonts when I first, I was in computer science and art. So I used to spec fonts, and that means that people would give me art and I'd be able to identify what font. So I would always look at fonts and I'm like, that's a freaking H. But it's like, but what is it? When I squint, I'm like, all it is just two blocks joined together by something. So I was like, what if those are binary stars?
Go into this to see if I can zoom in just a little bit.
Yeah, sorry. Well, why didn't you tell me, man? I can zoom in all day long. Can you see?
You're okay. Okay, yes, there we go.
You see,
and I like, see, yours looks so clear, because like the one that I have, this is the one I found, and it's nearly as clear. You see what I mean? Yours is nice and clear. So I'm gonna bring yours back up, but we can see right now. See, now there I can see what you're talking about.
The H and this little I, which is really just a twisted H.
That's what I was going to ask you. How did we come to the conclusion that because one could definitely argue that it is perhaps, a culmination of things. So how did we come, or who came to the conclusion that it's an I or an H, or is it just people talking
Oh,
about it?
I was talking about it because this looks to me like an H or an I. Martin Sweatman said he was thinking that this was like distant stars, and which constellation would have gone in that direction would have been Cygnus. So when I started calling it the H's, and I'll show you why when we go to Pumapunku here in a minute. But when I was talking about the H's of Pumapunku, is because I was sitting here going, so this is two blocks joined together, and they seem very purposely there. Everything else seems specific. I mean, some of these things aren't really like animals that they had in that area to begin with. So it's not like, oh, pretty animals, let's draw them. That doesn't seem to be the case. But when I look at it, I'm like, if you squint at this, it reminds me of those images that you see when you see binary stars. Like the two stars are joined together, that, or some kind of portal. But I kept thinking binary stars. And then he was talking about this being Cygnus. And I started looking at the summer triangle of Cygnus, which is Altair, Deneb, and oh my God, I can't remember the third. Is going to kill me. But anyway, in the summer triangle, there's a bunch of binary stars there, including Alberio, which is one of the brightest. Now, my point being, when I asked Martin Sweatman about this, because I emailed him because I'm a total pain in the ass. He responded. He responded to me. I'm like some rando that's like, Martin, hi, boom, boom, flipping my hair, going, what do you think about these and the Cygnus being binary stars? And he's like, well, considering they didn't have telescopes, that's probably not the case. And I'm like, thank you.
What the?
Duh. But that's if you put the goggles on of not being able to see beyond the equipment that you have. In a world where astral projection, remote viewing exists, these didn't have to be aliens to know that these are binary stars.
Or just the fact.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to imply, and I get in the grand scheme of things, 10,000 years, 12,000 is nothing. It's a blip in history, okay? But we can definitely argue that the known or seen universe was actually closer to them. So there's a chance that some things maybe were very slightly more illuminated than what they are now, because it's simply moved further away. I understand 10,000 years, 12,000, it's not a lot. I get it. It's just a blip, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. But it's like, don't you put it in a box by saying, well, they didn't have telescopes, they couldn't know. And I'm like, well, and so so they're struggling with explaining that, as well as the purses, as being like, is it generic power? Is it buckets of water? And I'm like, this does not seem like buckets of water to me. Everything else in here seems too important for that to be buckets of water.
Maybe it represents like I said, a stretching of time, or like those are two connected points. And
because that could also be, because if this is supposed to be like a year, right?
Yeah.
If this is summer solstice, so these would be the winter and equinoxes. So, this could be passage of time, but then you see them all over the place. I'm trying to remember where to take you next with that one, because I think I know. Wee! Like that. Let me see. I'm trying to figure out.
Ooh, that's a cool looking wall. Let me show you.
Yeah, this is Bolivia.
Now those are H's. I can see the H's in these.
You see where my head was going? Because I've looked at Pumapunku before, and this is where everything is so, precision based. But look at the statues. So Tiahuanaco is very close by, and it's got its own statues, and it's very similar to a lot of symbology that we saw in Göbekli Tepe. And they actually came up. I'm going to show you one new one that Hugh Newman just posted. That's awesome. That shows some very similar structures. He was like connecting Peru and Turkey in Göbekli Tepe. But look at these structures. They're like, the precision with which this was done, and they can't date it. But either way, these are like 50-ton blocks, I think,
Yeah.
or 100-ton blocks, and they're all very. I mean,
Well,
it's
look
like
at the
90
cutout.
degrees.
Well, that's what I
Yeah,
say.
look.
People don't care about that, but if you zoom in on that H, the fact right there where it does the secondary in again,
Look at
that
that.
cut
Yeah,
alone,
yeah.
or those round cuts,
The
any of
round
those.
cuts, any of those, and yeah, just this right here. It's like, how did you do that? How did you do that? So, and this one seems to have been also destroyed. I mean, it looked like some kind of
Ooh,
flood.
Tammy brings up an interesting point. Thank you for being here, Tammy. She
Yeah.
says they must have expected that we would totally know what the person was. That's why they carved it. So we need to think that like they did, but we can't because we didn't know what they knew.
Yes,
True.
exactly. It's like they're leaving clues. There was clues everywhere. There's like all these signs, and they're a trip when you look at them. Because one thing back to Göbekli Tepe that I wanted to show you is that here's the freaking H's on that, and on pillar 18 again, H, and in this case they're not even. There's like 3 on one side and 2 on the other, yet everything else is completely geometrical, or it's crazy. It's like it means something. I just don't know, we just don't know what, but that's kind of the cool part of the deal. Yeah.
Well, let me see if it pulls out. Here we go. Let me zoom in on that
What
a
are you
little
gonna
more for anybody that might be curious in case they can't see it. So now you can oh no, you know what? I just seen it even more now that I zoomed in. So I was just looking at this and like, oh, there's a little face.
Yes.
So now I see what you're referring to as far as these
The
lettering on the
belt.
side.
You see the
H-I,
H's and the
H-I,
I's, H-I, and they're on the side as well, on the sides of the
Ah,
belts. Isn't that a trip? And
very
then it
interesting.
has like the angle, like that's just like a belt or some kind of like dressing. But all of these pillars are headless, and supposedly the headless wasn't because they lost their head. It was because they, you see that the scroll down, you see, look at the H's
Oh,
with
yeah, that's super clear right there.
with the circles around them. They mean something. And I just find it kind of, I mean, I know coincidences happen, but that's a very specific thick 2 bars with one in the middle.
Yeah.
And the fact that in the front there's 5, I was like,
1, 2,
where is
yeah.
there 5 of, whatever the heck this is?
Yeah,
It's
1, 2,
like, how
3,
do we
4, 5.
track that? And there's the fox. So
It's gotta have.
that's fun.
Okay. So wait. So which one's the fox? The one on the right or the one
I
on the
think
left?
that's right there in that pillar. This is pillar 18, the one that you're looking at. I think that's the
Okay.
fox right there. Let me just double check. Because
Interesting.
the fox is supposed to be Aquarius.
Yeah. Either way, I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to think of like what else it could have represented, far as both on like a ridiculous standpoint, far as like it could have been something so
Animals.
ridiculous.
It could have
or
been
like,
the animals around.
know.
I mean, a lot of people say that they just randomly
Oh,
just
Mr.
drew
Crowley,
whatever
thank you
they
very
saw.
much.
But it just seems like there's a lot of detail there for it to just be random, like, oh, let's just draw some stuff, and then the pillars are aligned, and everything is aligned to particular constellations, and it seems to mean a lot more than just some random drawing.
I would think so.
So
Well, you want to take
anyway.
a stab at it, Miss AkashiCris. What do you think? I mean, you kind of given your pick, but like, let's get out there. Let's get way out there, right? Let's go into the Akashi records, shall we? If we're drawing upon such ancient knowledge, what do you think? What did your gut tell you? When you're looking at that, what do you think? Or those in the chat too. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, my gut tells me that between what I'm seeing here and the stuff that I'm actually seeing on giants, and they're actually being real skeletons, and the stories and all the mythology and all the writings out there that tell you the Nephilim, and there was stuff here, and you got these blocks that can't be lifted by anything that we currently have, like the Baalbek ones. It just starts to make me think that and this is going to sound really crazy, but I just have a feeling that they lived here, that there's something that lived here, and we chased them away, and somehow we took over, and we started just eliminating them out of fear.
I do subscribe to that idea. I remember asking my dad when I was young, obviously having the religious upbringing and stuff, and all the fantastical ideas, it didn't exist. None of that was there. By the way, welcome to here, Angel tonight says, welcome to all the beautiful souls. Thank you for being
Hey
here
guys
tonight.
in the chat.
And
Love you,
for
chat.
that super chat. I remember asking when I was younger, I was like, okay, so if there's these ideas of like Cyclops and, Minotaurs and all this different stuff, I was like, where did they come from? Like, even if it's not all real, like there had to have been something rooted somewhere, right? And to your point, where there probably was some sort of an ancient civilization either with us or I think probably was here prior to us. I don't know if it came necessarily after we were here. I think we just started to evolve along with it, perhaps. To put it like this, as an idea, tell me what you think of this idea. We know, and primatologists agree with this, this is not new knowledge whatsoever, that orangutans, a specific type of monkey, I don't remember which one, and chimpanzees in the wild on their own, independent of us showing them, are developing really advanced tools. Like, not just smashing rocks to get some nuts open. We're talking fishing poles, setting up lines. Like, most primatologists agree that yes, they're entering the Stone Age. And so I've always wondered at one point, with Homo sapien and Cro-Magnon man and Neanderthal and all those that we now know were all running together at one point in time. There wasn't this clean little cut trail of like, oh, then they evolved to this. There was a culmination of just a bunch of them running around. But what if there was something was more advanced? Let's use ourselves as the example, similar to us or close, and we were where the chimpanzees or the primates are at right now. Perhaps they would start to come along enough that we would show them a few things. But then if we do leave, what if we do leave Earth and we're just like, peace out? We destroy ourselves, something that wipes out just our species. They would evolve, and what few things we have that we've actually made that would still exist would be all they'd have left. Like, could you imagine them coming across the what do you call it? Oh my gosh, with the monument, am I drawing a blank on this?
The Washington Monument?
Thank you.
Yeah, no
the
problem.
Monument with the heads, with the 4 heads.
The Rushmore.
Rushmore. Thank you.
Yeah,
but I'm like, could you imagine them coming across that and be like,
I'd be like, what the hell was that? And they might not even be the humanoid.
Of human beings.
Like, what the hell? It's like Planet of the Apes, right? But
exactly.
No,
Spacewalk committee.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'm trying to think through that one because they're leaving something here. Here's the other part. So you got younger Dryas, right?
Yes.
If younger Dryas came along, so we got, potential population dwindling, younger Dryas comes along. Hi. I'm looking at the chat and I'm like, I gotta focus. I'm super ADD.
You should. It's amazing when they get going, and once they know they're getting to you, that really gets them going.
I know, and I do this all the time. Payback for a bitch, because I'm always like texting, chatting, and I'm like, you know what? I wonder if this is like super disruptive. Yeah, and you guys aren't. I am. But did we? You know how they have found all these cave art pieces of giants? I don't know if you've seen them, and I wish I had a picture. I'm going to add it to the deck at some point of the cave art that has like giant creatures or people and then arrows and all the little people, they're like it literally like in Night at the Museum with Owen Wilson and the guys like chasing down Ben Stiller. But it's like there's cave art showing that they attack these people. Wouldn't you be scared? If you were a devolved species, they're going to be as scared, we would have been as scared of them at the time as animals are of us when we creep up, up to them.
I would argue that, it's like, guys, it's okay. I remember the first time I ever watched Planet of the Apes, the original, like the late, 60s, early 70s version, right? With Charlton Heston. And it blew my mind. Like, it really did. Now, I know, again, in that time and era, like, it didn't really do justice to perhaps the outfit and the costumes and all that. But taking any chimpanzee or gorilla, and they're already intelligent, but if they could communicate, and I'm using communicate with massive quotation marks, in the terms that we find acceptable. Because my brother and I had this argument before. We said, what do you deem as conscious or consciousness or intelligent? You know, if anything, let's admit, chickens are not the brightest birds, okay? No pun intended. There's no getting around it. They're just not that bright sometimes. But if your chicken could say good morning to you or hello occasionally, all of a sudden that's a smart chicken. And we have new feelings and attraction and connection to that chicken simply for the words being able to say hello and goodbye. It's just that we accept that it's smart because it communicates in our version.
Because our perception of smart is that a chicken can speak. You know, if a chicken can speak, it must be pretty darn smart. But it's just, again, it's subjective. All of it is subjective. What is going on?
Okay, thank you so much for the amazing super chat. Catherine Splashington. I don't know if I feel like there's some like distant truth to this, and I'm not sure if you're just trolling us hard, but he or she said,
Catherine Splashington. This is my friend Kathy Splash.
Listen, very true. She says there was a Roman emperor named BigWilly, okay, who saved the world with his voice. I'm thinking Willie might be a descendant. We don't know.
I think it's true. I buy Catherine Splashington.
I've got a lot of Scottish in me. And William Wallington used his voice to do a lot for the Scots back in the day. Okay, he united a lot of clans, and he almost overthrew. Almost couldn't get the Irish on board, though. That was the problem. This guy got so much Irish in me too, mainly Scottish. But come on, those Irish people. Oh my gosh, I'm just kidding. I love all of you. You know, I don't know. I just think that with some of this. Perhaps I did have a point. I didn't finish with it. I'm rambling for you guys now. Okay. To the point of what you put up with those H's and I's. What I'm trying to say, my original point is that if we were trying to communicate to an animal that we automatically assume, I'm smart, they're dumb, we would keep it very simple. We would keep it very ones and twos. And to see that H and that I repeating, I just wonder if it was their version of what something showed them, and they're like, this is so important, H-I. You know what I mean? Like, it was just they were just writing what they seen, or if they were trying to convey it to us to be like, these guys are not going to get it, but we're going to make it as dumb as we can, and we're still sitting here like, what does it mean?
I don't think it's an H as per se, you know, the symbol H, but that's where I keep going back to binary stars. When you squint at it and you think about what binary stars look like from afar, there's two, you know, they have that tie between them because they're starting to come together. And binary systems are screwed by nature because they're gonna die. And what do what do people do, or what do beings do when they're about to die? They go escape. That's what we're trying to do. So if a set of binary stars exists out there where they're about to blow up because they're going to join together and blow up into this big, big bang and a big new star, but they're going to want to leave. I don't know. There's just so much stuff out there, and there's something to those darn H's, and it kills me. I'm like, they're trying to tell us something, and it's so important, and we're like, duh, we don't get it. Because we have the goggles of, like, we're locked, and I'm so bad. I can't even focus on any particular thing for more than a minute at a time. I can see where we lost something that they had.
I wonder. If with the with that H, then if it was trying to represent like a beginning and an end, so like this isn't exactly it, but like with the idea of this entangled, and it even shows almost kind of like an H, but the weight of the gravity on each side. I'm just wondering if that's what they were trying to represent or convey to us, that something drastic had happened, and
or the balance of the world, because I mean, you got that whole concept of multiple universes, a positive, whatever happens here, there's a negative version, in another universe. And I didn't even think about that crap right there. That's multiverse. That's multiverse crap right there. The whole dipole. What is the term, chat? Which one? It's not simulated universe. It's the one that was like one impacts whatever.
Like quantum entanglement.
Oh, yeah, quantum entanglement, that takes
Or
us
you could
down.
be just
That's
saying
like,
parallel,
yeah,
like a parallel timeline.
that's different. I'm talking, yeah, there's one that's like if something happens here, an absolute opposite happens on the other side. And I
Ooh,
can't
I don't know if I
remember
know
which
this
one
one.
it is. Yeah, they were talking about it because
Cloudy with
I've been reading
UFOs.
reading
Two sides.
like
So
a book
whatever
about
happens here,
quantum
it's
entanglement and Akashic fields.
like the
So that's why.
duality of something. It's the yin and the
Yeah,
yang.
basically the yin and the
Okay.
yang concept. And it's like one, I mean, because technically it's the
Mm-hmm. Oh, I
two,
can make this on screen.
it could be so many things. I just think that it's really cool that they left that for us. We just don't even know how to dig it fast
Mm-hmm.
enough. I can't
God,
believe
somebody's been
that.
saying
I'm like,
sus.
come on, people, get me down there with some 5-hour energies and a shovel.
5-hour energy. You're just like
Bring
stabbing
a
through
shovel.
stuff.
I'm bringing the machete from Puerto Rico. The machete. Bing. I'm gonna machete my way into the freaking ground, man.
Oh, look who's in
Because
the
there's
house. What's
Josh
shaking?
and Artemis. Jordamus? Jardy.
Yeah.
Artie. It's
Well,
Artie
hey,
because
we're all
it's got the
changing
happy
names tonight,
faces.
right? That's
Mhm.
why mine's Big Billy Willy.
Big Billy Willy.
BBW.
BBW.
Nobody
BB.
out there yet. Not a
Nobody's
single person's
catching
getting
it.
it.
Not
One
a
of them will get
single
it later.
person.
It's only funny for those who
So,
might be getting it. But in regards to this, let's hit on something. Let's continue going on this path a little bit. The
mhm.
idea of the yin and yang, or duality, and have balance. You know, we've heard a lot of talks about coming into the age of Aquarius. You know, in the 60s, they were really talking about this. It was ramping up. There was kind of one could definitely argue that, listen, this is a whole nother rabbit hole, but like the CIA did some stuff, okay?
Mhm.
Depending on people's positions, I get that it gets a bit
Mhm.
conspiratorial, but that there's
No.
documentation to this stuff. It's not even really, it's released to
Mhm.
really put a cap on some things that way, that idea of thinking. And now we're really, I think, starting to transition into some of that. And so moving into this idea of a more, and some people get really upset when you start throwing these terms around, but a more age of a feminine spirit, or a motherly spirit, as we're going into the age of Aquarius,
Mhm.
transitioning from what we've had. Do you think there's anything to that? Do you think that there's some representation of that we need to have, or come back to a duality? Because we've been on a pretty uh aggressive path, I guess you could say, in some ways, which
Mhm.
aggression is good at times, but I'm noticing two things. I'm noticing three things. I'm noticing a lot of resistance to the idea of saying the age of like women taking over and helping out with things, which is weird.
Mhm.
I'm noticing
Yeah.
pushback on that. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm noticing pushback in another direction. And some people love you or hate you. Again, guys, or love or hate me, I should say. And again, we try to keep it as drama free as we can, but just bringing it up. I'm just saying, we get where men are bringing it up a lot of times, and they'll bring up like, well, we're not allowed, we're being held down now, and you'll have ladies say, suck it up, buttercup, this is what we went through. Okay. Which, not wrong, I get it, okay, to an extent, as much as I can
Uh-huh.
philosophically understand it. Not
Mhm.
philosophically, I can rationalize it in my head, but I'm worried, like in anything, when we swing in life, having the balance, the true representation of yin and yang, or the male and the feminine
Mhm.
spirit, right, and the sun and the moon,
Mhm.
it's at its best when there's balance. And I'm just nervous, in the most, like, it's gonna come out sound like misogynist male or whatever, but
Don't
I'm
they?
nervous
Okay.
about that overswing of people that are pushing the other way, and realizing that
Mhm.
bad things have been happening. But does that mean we start the ball the other way and go a millennia or 2 millennia in that path? What are your thoughts on that? I
Um,
guess this idea of like blending these
sometimes,
ages.
yeah, blending the ages is going to be really tricky, and it's like baby steps, right? You don't want to shift anything too fast. You change the cheese too quickly, people freak the hell out, right? So you don't want to do that. Um, I mean, obviously, you have really, this is a really interesting topic. I'm kind of
Well,
liking
the
this,
reason I
but I'm
bring it up,
like,
and I bring it up
no,
with
no,
the
no,
most
no,
love in my heart that I
no,
can. I
no, no.
just
I'm
think it's
okay.
something that
I'm totally okay. I'm a Puerto Rican woman here. Okay. So I'm totally okay with this. Like, but
Justin, what's up?
I came from I'm a little bit older. I'm not gonna say how much,
Oh,
but
you're like
I came from a
25.
generation that, is a little bit different. I saw the differences between the treatment of you know people in general, but women specifically,
Mhm.
back in the 60s, 70s, saw it with my mom. I grew up in Puerto Rico. So again, you also have the whole Hispanic,
There was a
layer on
lot
top
going
of
on that
it.
time.
And it's like, there was definitely a stigma, and it's still, and dude, it still happens today, but I'm not going to focus on that, and think and focus on how we're being wronged, and regardless of the position. I just want us to come together, and
Yeah.
the only way to do that is to kind of just set that aside, because we could all argue, that our position is just, we're who's more screwed. No, we're not going to play that game today, and not here in the show. I'm just saying that in general, we should just kind of just say, hey, we all gotten screwed in some ways. Let's just kind of set that aside, because it's totally irrelevant to today's conversation, and just
Yeah.
come together today, and just, we could be so freaking great if we just set it aside. If we just said, and I'm loving that beard. You're gonna have to.
Oh, thank
You're gonna
That's
have
a
to
ghost
do. I
dragon.
want.
She does it.
You need like a little braid thing going on. That
I almost did
Rasta
a braid.
beard.
I almost did a
Rasta
braid tonight.
beard. Next time, yeah. Next time I will see you with the Rasta beard and the beads. But anyway,
do it.
so I just.
The only reason I bring it up,
Why? Where are you getting at? Big Billy Willy.
Big Billy Willy, or Biggest Willius.
Let's get to the real deal.
The reason I bring it up is, again,
Mhm.
in what we try to do at the garage is we are open to talk about anything, usually,
Mhm.
as long as people are willing to be, civil and really try to have a conversation, not just argue the point. If I disagree with you, probably the best thing I can really do is take your position and attack my own, and really just attack it to see, can I destroy my own argument or my perception of my stance at that moment, to see if I can from your perspective, then I need to reevaluate mine. And if I can't, well, then it only would strengthen it. So there's really no harm in
Mhm.
engaging in good, healthy conversation
Mhm.
that puts us in maybe situations that we're like, we're not allowed to talk about that. But it's like, guys, this is
No.
happening, and it's happening
No.
very rapidly.
Mhm.
And I think that so often, do you remember growing up? And I'm sure this was said in your timeline too. What were the 3
Mhm.
things you weren't supposed to talk about at the dinner table or with family or friends? Do you remember the big 3? What was it for you, at least?
We never even. Okay, religion, politics, and sex.
3
Sorry.
things, right? Those were the big 3 that was like, don't talk about them. And it's like, guys, how
Mhm.
important were those 3 things to really be
Mhm.
talked about? Josh and Artemis, I would, but I don't have that many skills. BigWilly is saying as big as you all think over here. I got to get to Ben on that one, but he can get you set up for sure. So, but those are things that are very important, right?
Mhm.
For people in their life. So I think I've noticed with this topic, there's a little bit of animosity when it comes up. There's a very much so, like you said, the rights that have been wrong. 2 wrongs don't make a right is the best way I can put
Mhm.
it. Is the
Yeah,
best way I can
and
put it.
sometimes it's okay to disagree and meet in the middle and say, we're not going to agree on this
Sports.
particular topic, but it's okay to talk about it. And we're
Yeah.
not, at the end of the day, we can have a healthy conversation without walking away just like wanting to chop, each other's heads off. So
Exactly.
why does it have to be all or nothing? Why can't we just have the conversation and say at the end, you know what? I don't agree with that. I don't agree with
Mhm.
this. Let's be respectful, shake hands, move our own way. We don't have to be best friends, but we can't,
Mhm.
I don't understand the all or nothing approach. I just don't get it. But at the same time, I consider myself pretty open-minded.
Yeah.
BigWily.
I
So
think you are. Yeah.
I really think I am, and I look at things from multiple perspectives, and sometimes I see how anything taken too far. I'm very much middle of the road, whether it's politics or in life. I try to be in the middle of the road because it's so much gray area, and for me, it's very hard to take the black or the white, because I can try to see. I try to put myself in the other person's shoes. It's like a day in the life is a great exercise to go through for that. You
Yeah.
will never understand until you're in the day in the life. So I try to live by that. So I hope I'm not just spinning around the subject, but I just really try to be Switzerland, and I try to see it both ways, and I see the unfairness on both sides of a lot of stories. But on some of them, I feel a lot more passionately, and when I do, I speak up, and I don't do it in a hateful way. I'm just opinionate. I got a big mouth. I can't help it, so I'm not sure that I even answered your question. I'm frustrated at myself if I didn't.
No, you're good. Gordy85, by the way, says, Big Willie, can you blow your own mind? I don't know. I remember asking myself when I was young. I told my dad, I was like 7. I said, Dad. No, I was like 9. I said, Dad. And I was just trying to be silly, but I said it. And then it like really stuck with my dad. And he didn't tell me for like years. He told me, he's like, when you were like 9, you said this thing. And every once in a while, I'll use it every once in a while now. And you reminded me of the situation, which was, I was like, Dad, do you know the human mind can take you further than you can imagine? And then I like ran out of the room, and he told me later on, he's like, it really stuck with me. He was like working on something, and like I said that, and he was like, what?
That's funny. How old were you?
Like 9 or 10. I was a weird kid. I was like, but thank you. So you guys, hey, PXM, you're amazing. Thank you so much. I said two awesome people together for me to enjoy and listen.
They're so sweet.
One of the things I think is so important too is recognizing that each one of us are uniquely ourselves, but also at the same time that prism or that reflection of you are me, right? Like it's so cheesy with the end. I got to redo it like one day with like a decent editing. But the end of my show, it ends with the writing saying, I am you and you are me. So just be love. Because when we can realize that when I learn to love myself or the best that I can, so that others can actually love me for who I am. And when I learn to love you, I am loving myself. And when I love you, I am loving me. And I just think that so often we get hung up on these. Think about where the terms came from sometimes too. In nature, if you go through like the 7 hermetic laws and everything, there is male and female essence. Now, where you fall at, your thing. But the idea that there's a balance, there are these things that exist. And I think sometimes we didn't fight that so much. We tried to just really resonate with that more and just feel it, I guess, versus fighting it. But the terms that are given to us, not by accident, and I'm not talking about how people identify. I'm saying how through education, the way we're taught to approach these subjects was you have to position. Here's my position, and I win, and you lose. You know what I mean? I feel like sometimes.
And I feel like, are we attacking the problem the wrong way?
Oh, Jesus, Mr. Crowley.
Because are we... Yeah, Mr. Crowley, you can ask my husband who's in the chat. There we go.
Stuart, I don't know. Is AkashiCris going to be...
anyway, now you guys are throwing me off again. So, I had a really good point. Where were we? BigWily. BigWily, remind me.
People fighting their positions, and you have to fight.
And, okay, so I have. Maybe we're attacking the problem by just focusing too much on those particular differences and not finding other things that are bringing us together, right? It's like for example, and I'll tell you a very specific example. So growing up in Puerto Rico, I was there till I was 17. And when I came here, it's like, and I moved to Texas. By the way, I was in San Antonio for like 17 years, and then woohoo! So there we go. And then here, sitting here in Dallas. But dude, when two Puerto Ricans see each other and recognize the accent, it don't matter the color. And there's many color Puerto Ricans, many sizes Puerto Ricans, we're all, within the island, we're one. And whenever we see each other outside of it, we're one regardless. And whether it's man, woman, it doesn't matter. There's that unity. So maybe the way to attack it is to really focus on the other things that unite us and to try to, say, you know what? Our lives have all sucked in some way. They all have, so I don't know. I'm just thinking like there's many, and I hate to use the term, there's many ways to skin this cat, because Cat is probably on the chat and she loves cats. And I hate to use that term, but I use it in IT all the time when we're talking about projects. So sorry, cat lovers on the chat. Breaking news: Chris gets cats for a living. No, not true. Not true. Yes, Latinas forever live thin, Lizzie.
That's true.
Yeah.
One last thing, and this is so important, is I know we only have about 10 minutes or so left till the top of the hour here where we have to end things, but this is something I actually wanted to dig in the beginning, and I kind of forgot to because I think it is fascinating, and I know that's something you've been looking into your life, and I know many in the chat have probably looked into this, which is the idea of the Akashi records, which is partly having to do with your name, which you've addressed before. But why do you think that's important that people take the time to look into that?
It is, to me, is that network that's, I mean, if it's true, if it's real, and I really think it is, and I'm attacking it two ways, the spiritual route and the quantum physics route. And somebody probably said something funny, and I'm not gonna look. And the quantum physics routes, because I'm trying to see, is there some is there some explanation for why some people are more entangled than others, seem to be like really understanding each other. Now, on Akashic record aside, let's think about one thing. If quanta becomes entangled, regardless of space and time, they could reach each other. Once one observes the other, if that theory is true, and vice versa, that they're entangled at that point, that could really explain a lot of the, repeat experiencers. When you become aware of things and things become aware of you, maybe that's where that connection happens and it stays forever. And then from an Akashic record perspective, it's like, I mean, there's been people that getting ideas that come out of thought experiments, not out of like a ton of research. And I mean, there's definitely been some information out there, of people that have been able to get, like downloads. I think it's all tied together, whether you call it Akashic record or you call it astral projection or remote viewing or consciousness or the paranormal. It's like, it's all, I don't want to put it in a box and call it all Akashic records, but it's like, if you think about an entry, it's just like cloud computing. We're just uploading stuff up on the cloud. So we're uploading everything that we've ever done, have been, are doing right now, or will do, is stored in a central place. Then that makes sense. If the ancients were able to get access to this information, whoever can get access to this information, they can really use their consciousness. How powerful is that? But there seems to be a quantum back end to this. So, I mean, to me, it just starts to make sense. So
obviously the chat agrees with you too as well. Mr. Crowley, that will be for when Lou Elizondo comes back with Joe and Ben. He's agreed to go shirtless with them, and I said, "Hey, I'll make my appearance shirtless with Mr. Lou Elizondo as well." So, unfortunately, no amount of money you throw me
really
will be that. Yeah, that was
nice.
That'll be my first time meeting him too. I'm gonna keep it super serious. I'm like, excuse me, Lou.
Hi, eyes up here. Please stop.
Excuse me, sir.
This is private.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't go like down the wrong, path with your questions, because this has been really a lot of fun. This has been
I know we're near the end, but like explaining to people, in your opinion, in a synopsis, but some people might go, "What is it, Akashi? What is Akashi records?" Well, in your opinion, what would you say to somebody when they ask that? Because there might be those that are listening, going, "What are we talking about?" I forgot to even.
This is there's actually based on ancient, books about, the ability to have an entry. Is like using your consciousness to access all information. It's like, think about the universe being just a strand of strings all tied together, right? And whatever lies above it is, to me, is the creative intelligence of the universe. But I keep thinking, being in IT, I just keep thinking about it as being just one big network. And those, and people have said that they've been able to, just kind of meditate their way into the Akashic record with, and I think it comes down to intention as well. You have to have like a pure heart and good intention, and be able to ask questions and explore. If you're allowed in, I mean, and if you have the capability to do it. Again, I have the attention span of a gnat, so I try to, but I did ask the question one time, and a name came to me that kind of freaked me out, but I'm still looking into it. So, but it's just, there's so many great things to look into in this, in this phenomenon, in the environment, the whole topic.
Wasn't
is
it Edgar
just fascinating.
Casey that was like really working with a bunch of that in the beginning that through meditation getting in the early 1900s? I could be wrong about that. I thought that was
Yeah,
a big
Edward
thing he was doing.
Casey. Yeah, I'm not sure on the name right now because now my head is starting to turn into, applesauce, but I can look into that one. I'm
That's
looking at
true.
the chat because my husband's like Mr. Names. He's like, bing, bong, bang. When I can't think, he like thinks for me. I'm like, I'm starting to shut down because I usually just shut
Is,
down early.
is it nighttime?
I live in
Oh my
suburbia,
gosh. Well, that's
man.
okay. We only have about 8 minutes
No,
left
I'm
here.
happy. This has been a blast.
Oh yeah, you
This
did
has been a
great too. I'm
blast.
sorry it
And
was so rocky. The old blue broke down there for a minute. We had to hop out
hey,
and
I
push her
was
for a minute and jump
fine.
start get it
I was
going
like,
again.
I couldn't tell. I was like, is he not talking, or am
Oh
I
yeah.
the one that got dropped out? So everybody's been so kind on the chat as well. So
Oh, you have an alien girl cup. I just noticed that too.
yeah,
Hang on. Let me
I
do
have
this.
an
Hang on.
alien
Let's
girl
get this.
mug. Oh yeah, when you were gone, I decided to give like a show and tell of my
Here.
background.
Let's a little more again. Look, we got back
So
here.
we
We
got
got Albert
Colin
Einstein.
Blow, we got the Beatles, we got Einstein, Sheldon, and Alan from you can't see him from Hangover with the baby.
Nice.
A stress turd. Everybody needs one.
Yes, you do need those.
My quartz. Here's my alien Buddha that my husband gave to me.
Aw.
They're beautiful.
you.
I look like Vanna. Hi. And this is not on sale today, but if it were, it'd be worth a lot of money. A bird's Barbie. Shake and bake. Here's
Ooh, shake
I
and bake
got
front and center.
shake and bake because a friend of mine and I was in IT and she was business, and we called ourselves Shake and Bake, like Ricky Bobby, and we would kind of take turns and slingshot each other. And I showed my pictures earlier to the team.
Wait,
I
was that
sound
a
like I'm at
mermaid up
work.
there?
Huh?
Yes, I showed that to the team. Team saw this. If
What?
you didn't
The
catch it,
team's on it.
is that
What?
is she a mermaid?
No, which mermaid? What?
Wait, am I just
Here?
looking at it wrong? I don't know why I'm looking at
That
your
right
feet.
there?
Yeah. Oh, it's
Okay.
the Addams family. What's
That
wrong
is
with
the
me?
Addams Family picture. And what I did
Gosh.
was draw it. I drew this back in the 80s, and I decided to draw it to where it's incomplete. So it would show the different phases of the drawing process, and it wouldn't look like an absolute illustration. I know, I'm a nerd.
No,
Officially.
that's
And I've got all the South Park because, I grew up on South Park. Cardman has been with me for like 15 years. Cardman's my buddy. So
they go hard on South Park. They keep it real over
Park.
there. They do over
So
there.
yeah, so
Once
that's
again,
what's going on in my neck of the woods.
let me share this for everybody too, really quick, guys. If you would like to follow and keep up with Akashi, obviously you have Twitter, right? Where else can people find you? I'm going to post your links here in just a second. What you guys can find the show
I'm
now?
on Calling All Beings, and I'm on Twitter under Chris Mullins TX, and soon I'm gonna be doing some stuff on TikTok. I'm gonna be doing some cool stuff. I'm gonna be putting some cool content over there. So I wanted to show, I don't know who was like on the chat, but this is really freaky. So I've been also exploring like oracle cards. What's colon? Super colon blow in the morning. What the hell?
Was this a real commercial that was going on back?
You never saw Super Colon Blow? It was an SNL commercial.
Oh, it's
and
SNL,
it was
that's right.
SNL total.
I was thinking
it
this
was
is
like,
a real commercial, and I was like, "Whoa, the 80s were wilding, bro! They were going hard." I forgot.
It's very high fiber.
So much fiber, guys.
It's just so much fiber.
Matter of fact,
it would take over 30,000 pulls. Hold on, I'm gonna do this.
30,000.
I'm gonna do this BigWily style. Colon Blow and you in the morning. It would take over 30,000 bowls of your average oat bran cereal to equal the fiber content of one bowl of Colon Blow.
It's amazing. If you guys didn't know, it is now the official cereal of the Space Farm Committee.
It's a
over
sponsor,
here, which is Dr. Scientist.
It's a sponsor. But I wanted to tell anybody that does oracle cards, this is gonna freak you out, or this freaked me out all week, because I've been doing oracle cards for a while, like not for a while, ever since like Alien Girl and Thin Lizzy and stuff. And I shuffle and I do my exercises
I'm
and stuff every
shuffling.
day, and I keep getting activated earth, power places, ley
Ooh.
lines, and it's all about ancients, and it's freaking me out. So activated earth has come up, and my husband can attest to this because I share my cards with him on a daily basis.
Heck yeah.
That's a benefit of living here. You're welcome, honey.
That's the way to do it. Oh, and
Oracle card time.
I should have plugged this right at the beginning, guys. I know we have just a couple seconds left here, but you can catch AkashiCris. I don't know if it's this coming Tuesday or following Tuesday. You will be on with Lynn, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, talk to me.
And tomorrow I'm going to be on Josh and Artemis.
Oh, yeah, yes. Thank you for reminding me. I knew there was two. I was like, there's like two of them. I should have plugged those right at the beginning, guys.
I don't know how that happened, but I'm like overexposed this week.
That's
I'm
right.
Like Tara Reid in the 90s. Whatever.
Brujas, baby. Yeah,
Brujitas.
we have come to that time, guys.
Yes,
very close again here. If you would like, so many of you have left a like already. Thank you so much for that. Please feel free to leave a comment. Please feel free to email me. And anytime if you guys have any suggestions to the show, if anything you'd like to see us change, any guests you'd like to see me bring on. Also, too, I've never really put that out there. You guys are more than welcome to send somebody my way. I do all my own I'm just kidding. I do all my own production, and we're pretty hard ship over here. But I'm open to whoever sitting down and having a conversation about whatever, generally speaking. And I think that's the amazing thing about all this. The more we get to meet people and share. Oh my gosh, Flair's Kevin is here.
Flair!
I remember so long. I was like,
I
where
love
did Stephen Greer's
Kevin.
Flair go? Yeah, for the longest time, I was like, they're gone. Where'd they go?
Dude, he's on Cab. He's my buddy on Cab.
Oh, I know,
Flair.
but I
know.
But Stephen Greer's Flair
disappeared.
And that's why I was like, where did they go?
Yes, he changed his name, similar to Catherine Splashington, who gave up her dancing name, Kathy Splash. She said she gave up stripping.
But at least hers was close enough that you could still kind of tell, right? Like earlier, went from Simon Wells, right, to Dogface Boy.
I had no idea. The other day, he said hi to me, and I'm like, I'm not sure I know you. I was like, oh yeah, I do. I totally do now.
Yeah, that's right. All righty, guys. Well, I tell you what. Oh man, you know what, AkashiCris, I'm gonna love you. So if you're able to do this, can you read this name? Mr. Gray.
Mr. Gray Night Owl.
It just clicked for me.
Night Owl. Yeah, Mr. Gray
What's
Night Owl.
up there? Hey, BigWily,
Night Owl.
the cattle abductions by UFOs. The X-rays are really raising the stakes. You guys see it? Did you see?
What happened to the cattle mutilations lately?
Raising the stakes because cows can be steaks.
Oh, I see. But up. I'll be here all day.
And on that note, guys, I would ask each and every one of you to please stay curious and keep it weird.
Thank you.